But would you advise the government to do that? I mean, like you just mentioned, a very big issue of that trust deficit. We've had years of, corruption, years of, grievances between, especially on the populace, not trust on the government. We've had issues of massive corruption, billions of funds being unearthed, being stolen, we're having all these scams here and there. We finish one probe and then another one is discovered in this other sector. So, of course, that in the mind of the average Nigerians, just spells, there's money out there, and most of it, in terms of perception, it's been stolen. So you now want me to now bear the brunt, this harsh economic policy you want to take. You want to remove complete fuel subsidy. I understand what you're saying and that it's necessary, but I'm just saying in this kind of environment, would you advise the government to do that? I'm
going to give you a classical example. You see, the government needs to create a lot of awareness. That awareness is not being created. Government has shot itself in the foot by, I would say, what has happened in the past. Of course, I believe that if you look at the oil subsidy issues, the government cannot completely exonerate itself, either because they have been negligent in managing the oil industry sector or whatever. But of course, having superintended that aspect of the economy, so they cannot completely say, look, at least they should be guilty of negligence. But having said that, the issue the government has to accept the fact that, look, there is no way they can police effectively the issue of subsidy. You see, what we're looking at is the claims that people make for products that are not imported, that are not brought in. There are also several other scams along the value chain. This issue of bridging, where people submit reports that indicate that they took products from one location to another, and when they didn't actually take those products, and they collect the bridging fee, so that we could have a balance, we could have equal price, the same price all over the country. But there's also a scam there. It's just that has not come up. So there are several scams along the value chain. But the only way the government can address it is to say, look, we cannot continue this way. And they need to come to the public and make the facts clear. And accept that they don't have the capacity to police that sector. But beyond having the capacity to police the sector,
wouldn't that create more? Because we want, the government wants to present itself as a government that is in control, knows what it's doing, has the machinery in place to combat corruption.
Government has limited resources. I mean, if you talk of combating corruption, the government is, well, you can say they're doing the little they can, but the issue that corruption is still pervasive. So in effect, one of the best ways to fight corruption is to reform that corrupting institution, to restructure and to change the value chain in the corrupting institution. You see, a value chain in most public service does not encourage sustainability, does not encourage self-reliance. A situation whereby institutions are not making profit and government is paying subventions to sustain such institutions, there's no motivation for those managing such institutions to work and create enough economic resources to sustain themselves. And that creates corruption tendencies. So the issue is this. Today, the oil subsidy issue, the government does not have the resources to police it. Two, it is leading to the consumption of our future growth. And it's akin to this. And I tell people, look, you have a family that is poor, you go to them, you give them food handout every day. And they're happy they're eating, but you're not training any of the children in school. The children will come back to you to eat, to ask for handouts. But it would be better you allow the family suffers and you pick one of the children and train in school, and that child will have the resources to take care of the rest of the family. Today, what we're doing is that we're living on our future. We're eating up our future. So we're slowing down our growth process. And as government in power, they have a primary responsibility to let the population know that what we are doing will not allow us to get to where we want to be. There is no way you can grow any system without making sacrifices.
So we have, obviously, according to you, we haven't made enough.
Yeah, we have not made enough sacrifices. I agree there have been a lot of scams. But those scams were there because the system allowed them to thrive. So, but why don't you eliminate the system entirely? And when you eliminate that system that allows corruption to thrive, you eliminate corruption with it. You no longer need to police it.
So, of course, all of that will bring us down back to the issue of political will, like you said, courage.
Absolutely.
To do that. But look, let's come down to still on the medium-term fiscal framework, 2012 to 2015. Of course, there are certain projections or talking about the issue of diversification of the economy, what projected all revenue is meant to be, to increase from 2.3 trillion to 2.4 trillion. But looking at it holistically, what the government is trying to achieve, coming down or bringing down spending on what the government spent on itself and increasing what the government spends on capital expenditure, are we going to see a significant impact when we come out of that for this program, this medium-term fiscal strategy from between 2012 and 2015? Are we going to see any significant impact when we come out of it? Can we point to certain projects or several projects and say, yes, this is what we built, this is what we can see visibly, and will it impact at the end of the day on the average man walking the streets? Of
well,
Nigeria?
the minister did say that the government is looking at rationalizing some of the projects they are doing, shifting resources to those projects that have strong impact on economic growth and the welfare and well-being of the citizens. So we need to see the breakdown of the budget. We need to see where the 1.55 trillion naira is going to in terms of capital expenditure. We need to know, are they expanding highways? Are they building schools? What exactly are they doing? And what is the economic impact of the capital expenditure that they want to invest in? So we need to look at those things. Right now, we can't say all we have is about ballpark figures, and we need to see a breakdown when the budget is fully prepared. But for now, what we can only say is that there's going to be an increase in capital expenditure. Where that increment is invested in will determine what impact it will have. But the minister did say that they want to focus on certain basic areas. She talked about infrastructure.
Jobs, the all-important jobs.
Yes, she talked about agriculture. She talked about solid minerals. She also spoke about those aspects of the investment that will affect the health, the welfare of the society, health and education. So we need to see how effectively, you see, there are two things you have to look at. You have the issue of the volume of cash that is injected in capital expenditure. You also have to look at the effectiveness of that amount. And that's what determines to what benefit we will get from the increment, the marginal increment, as I'll call it, that you have in capital expenditure.